Okay, now that we have our Visual Studio Online account, it's time to hook up our Visual Studio Community Edition to Visual Studio Online so that we can take advantage of the source control in the cloud. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that. So first I'll go back to Visual Studio Online, and since I'm lazy here, I'll just let Google do the work for me. So I've gone back to Visual Studio Online. And as you can see from the screenshot here, I am still actually logged into the product. So I'll click on my name. And you see the account information that's on Visual Studio Online. And in the previous step, when we registered for Visual Studio Online, it asked us for a URL. So you can see the URL for my repository up here. And that's important because we'll be using that in the next step then to hook up Visual Studio to our code repository. So I'll go ahead and start up Visual Studio. And if you look at the menus up top, there is a Team Explorer menu. So we'll go ahead and do that. And there's a selection under there that says Manage Connections. So in the Manage Connections section, I can actually then pull down over here and I can connect to a team project. It brings up this dialog, and under servers, I'll go ahead and I'll add a new server. And in this step over here, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and copy the URL from our repository, and I'll paste it into the URL for the Team Foundation server. Select OK. And while it's doing that, it will ask me for credentials to authenticate. So if you're like me, you have 10,000 accounts and it's hard to remember all these usernames and passwords. So and sure enough, I did the same thing. So let me try this again. So now it's processing that. So you can have, if you look at the server dialog, you can have multiple servers then hooked up to Team Foundation server. So there we go. So now you can see our project in this dialog that we created earlier, and we'll go ahead and connect to this server, and we are now connected to TFS essentially in the cloud, or Visual Studio Online. So let's go ahead and we'll open the project that we worked on earlier, Hello World. And in the next step, I'll show you how to take this project, and then we'll move it up into our code repository, so then it's under source code control. So what that means then is we can check code in and out. We can share code with other team members. It really is a great step forward. So we'll go through that here in the next exercise. Now that we've established our connection to Visual Studio Online, we're going to go ahead and add our solution to source code control. So there's two explorers over here. There's a Team Explorer and a Solution Explorer. If we go back to the Solution Explorer and click on that, if we go up to our solution and right mouse click on the solution, there's a number of different sections on this menu. You can rebuild the solution. You can do various different things, but if you see this selection all the way down near the bottom, there's an Add Solution to Source Control. So we'll go ahead and select that, and it allows you a choice of whether it's going to be Team Foundation version control, Get, or a different selection. So And we'll go ahead and say use the selected system when creating future projects, so that way the team foundation version control is the default. So that's what we'll be using in these lessons. So we'll select OK. And now it should be binding the source control to our, it asks us to indicate where we'd like to put this, and this is our team project, which was Hello World that we created earlier, so we'll go ahead and say that's okay. And now I'll go ahead and bind the code to source control. So one of the things you'll notice then in the Solution Explorer is that the icons have now changed, indicating that our Hello World project is now under source control. And one of the things you can do then is if you right mouse click on this thing, you'll see now a source control menu, and we can actually check the code in. So we'll go ahead and select that, and we'll go ahead and check the code in. So we'll enter a comment. So first, it asked me to confirm that. I was going to put in a comment, but I was a little too slow there. So now all our code is checked in. So what's significant about this is now that it's under source control, I can now version control and track changes as they go in to the source code control system. So for example, if I come home tomorrow night and I want to make a few changes, I can check that in as a separate change set, the work that I do, and I can track the work that I'm doing. And also, if I make a mistake along the way, there's a way to kind of roll those changes back and remove and apply selected change sets. So in a subsequent course, I'll be going kind of a deep dive through all of these things of how essentially TFS and Visual Studio Online work in detail. But let's go through one more exercise here. Let's make a simple change. So I'll just add a simple change to this line, and we'll go ahead and I'll put in just another string in this line. Let's put in Hello World again, and I'll go ahead and save all of this code. And let's go back and look at the Solution Explorer again. If you look at program.cs, you'll notice then that I've checked out this piece of code. So now that we're under version control, it will automatically check things out. So now, if I right mouse click under this and look at the source control menu, there's different things that are available to me. I can get a specific version, I can look at history, or if I go back up to the top of the solution, I can just check this code back in. And that's exactly what I've selected here. And I'll go ahead and check that back in. So we'll go back under the Solution Explorer, and now we can see that we now have the locking icons indicating that it's under source control, but it also indicates that it's been checked back in and that there are no pending changes for me. So so that's really a brief overview of how to hook up the code to Visual Studio. It's a fairly simple step that to reiterate, you go back under the Team Explorer and manage those connections. There's also a selection here if you want to disconnect for some reason, you can do that. But after you've established the account, you connect to the Visual Studio Online, and then you add your solution to source control. And those are the steps to really get basic control going. So in the next lesson, I'll talk about, if you're operating as a team, then how that will work with a central code repository and how you can work together as a team to really take on bigger projects. And that's really a really great advantage of Visual Studio Online and the Visual Studio team system, is to be able to collaborate with a team of developers and really take on a large project. And now that these tools are provided free of cost, it really opens it up for kind of the mom and pop kind of people of the world who want to, or startup companies really that want to start developing software as a team. So it's really a great opportunity. These tools were very expensive in the past, and now you can get them for no charge and really get going. So it's some pretty exciting stuff. So I'll see you in the next lesson, and we'll take a little bit deeper dive into the team aspects of development using Visual Studio Online. Thanks so much.